go.
Hi everybody, I'm Mrs. Raven. Raven is on the other side of the camera today, and I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to can up some ground beef into an easy recipe that you can use for a quick convenience meal during the week. It's a great way to, if you find some ground beef on sale, to just buy up a bunch of it, can it up, and you can make many meals out of just a 10 or 12 pound block of meat. Raven the other day went shopping, and instead of flowers he bought his lovely wife 30 pounds of ground beef. So I've been making up different things with that to add to our food storage downstairs. So kind of the reason I like to can meat is I am completely out of freezer space. The events of the past several months, probably you're very much like me, and you went out and you bought every bit of meat that you could find in the grocery stores to stock up, not knowing whether or not it would be there a week later, and how much we're going to need to go forward when possibly our distribution lines drop. You guys know the story, what we're facing going forward. So pressure canning meat is a great way to not take up freezer space, and it's shelf stable for a couple of years, and I do a lot of it. So today we're going to do pressure canned meatloaf, which I have not done before. This is a first for me. So out of this recipe we should come out with 6 quarts of meatloaf. And to get that, get a pen and paper, because these are the ingredients. You want to write this down. We have in this bin I have 12 pounds of 90-10 hamburger. I even bought the 90-10. That's exactly what I wanted, because when I'm pressure canning meat I want a lean ground beef so that we don't end up with an inch of fat on the top of the jars. So we want something that's really lean. So we've got 12 pounds of hamburger. We're going to add 4 teaspoons of garlic salt. You're going to see me in this video using what looks like your average store-bought. Was that 3 or 4? Well, we'll add another one because garlic is awesome. Store-bought little jars like this of spices. This is what I used to keep in my my spice drawer in the kitchen. I actually buy my spices in bulk, and then as I get down low on the jars, I just refill them from the larger quantities, which I dry vacuum into mason jars. So that's how I store my spices. But anyway, that's another video. So we had 4 teaspoons of garlic salt. We're going to do 2 teaspoons of paprika. A teaspoon of pepper. Three teaspoons of hamburger deluxe. I went to the store, I couldn't find the brand name hamburger deluxe, so I just bought an equivalent. Really, it's just some extra spices like onion powder, a little more garlic. It does have MSG in it, so if you're sensitive to MSG, you might want to just skip this part. Then we're going to crack in 10 eggs. I don't know if you can hear, but my chickens are behind me. And I'm going to give them a little treat. We're going to let them have the eggshells, because that's a special treat for them. Hey girls! Now, I know you chicken purists are going to say, don't teach your chickens to eat shells, because then they're going to eat their own eggs and you won't have any eggs to collect. Well, that's not been my experience, but you do you. My chickens have all run away, and now my coonhound is eating the eggshells. So go figure. All right, 10 eggs. There you go, ladies. All right, then we're gonna need about a sleeve and a half of crushed saltines. I just crushed these right in the sleeve. I found that's the easiest thing to do. Makes the least amount of mess. And I need another half a sleeve here to get to that 1.5 sleeves. So I'm going to eyeball it and just crush with my hands. And the last thing you need is a 1.5 cups of ketchup. I obviously washed my hands thoroughly before I started this process, so if I wanted, I could use my bare naked hands to mix these ingredients together, but I'm not a savage, so I'm going to use gloves. I do not enjoy the feeling of raw meat under my fingernails. So maybe you want to show the mixing process. Kind of awesome. We just want to work everything until everything's really well incorporated. Got to squeeze your fingers to get everything evenly distributed throughout all of the meat. This reminds me of kneading bread. All right, this is pretty well combined. We're gonna pause the camera, and when we come back, we will show you packing the jars. All right, so now we're just gonna load up our quart jars. My quart jars just came out of the hot soapy water. They are as clean and sterile as it's gonna get. Off to the side, I have my lids, which just came off of a very quick boil, just enough to soften the rubber rings and to get those sterilized also. So when we're packing these, we're going to leave about 1 inch of headspace to allow for the juices and the grease to kind of get up on top. The trick with this is also to get out all of the air bubbles. So you're going to have to take a spoon and really pack this meat in. And you can kind of see where there's air bubbles. You want to really just work your spoon in there, work that meat in. And we're going to leave about that much headspace. I still see some air bubbles I'm going to work through. You want to use wide mouth jars for this, so that when you're ready to take your meatloaf out, all you have to do is take the lid off and slide it out. You might have to run a knife around the exterior or the inside to loosen things up, but it should just slide out. If you use the regular mouth jars, you're gonna have to cut that baby out of there. All right. That looks better. I think we got all the air pockets out. There's one left. And we're gonna leave right in the middle a little divot. And that is also to help it cook more evenly and to collect that grease as it forms. And that is how we're gonna jar up our meat. I will take my lid lifter. We'll grab out a lid. Oops, I lied. We gotta do one more thing. Where's my napkin? Okay. So I almost lied to you, and we were about to put a lid on that guy without wiping the rim, which is rule number 1 in canning. You've got to keep the edge of your jar exquisitely clean and free from any food or salt or any debris that might be on there, because that will interfere with your seal forming. So now we can lid up that baby, and we'll put our rings on just to finger tight. We're going to set that aside. I'm going to finish up the other 6 quarts, or the remainder of the 6 quarts, and then I'll show you loading them into the canner.
3.
So I have my 6 quarts of meatloaf all jarred up and ready to go into the canner. You see my lovely handy dandy Trail Chef, is it Trail Chef or Chef Trail? Whatever it is, outdoor canner that my husband picked up at a garage sale, and it's been awesome to use in the summer instead of heating up the whole kitchen. So just gonna load my jars into the canner. With a cold pack process like what this is, where the ingredients you're adding to the jar or to the can are cold, you don't have to start with boiling water, which is kind of a time saver. Other things that you would need to have your water at a hot boil already are like things that are hot. If that makes any sense, probably not. And give them a little space around each one. Try to not have them touching as much as possible. And we will secure the lid, and we will bring this up to 11 pounds of pressure for our altitude, and we will process these for 90 minutes because they're quarts. And just in case you're curious about what's in the next canner, I just did a canner load of picadillo, which is a Cuban ground beef meal with lots of cool spices and olives and capers. If you talk real nice to Raven in the comments and you're curious about a recipe, he can let me know and maybe I'll shoot you the recipe. This just got down to 0. We just took the pressure bobble off, and waiting to open this and pull these guys out. Maybe I'll show you that in a few minutes too. So we had a little bit of extra meat mixture than we had prepared cans. So I put it in our meatloaf pan, and that is what we're having for supper. I'm gonna plate up a slice for Raven right now, and we'll see what he thinks.
In the words of Kent Rollins, this is finger licking good, and we'll see if that coonhound has a preference with it too. Is that a lot of tail wags too? We got the tail wags approval just like Kent does with his pups. And with that, we're going to sign off and have a good day, everyone.